It's the Scotty Myers Show.
Hey, welcome to the show. Hopefully you are having a fantastic week so far. I'm your host, Scotty Myers, coming to you once again from beautiful Austin, Texas. Absolutely love it down here. And if you're going, you were there like a couple of weeks ago, what the fuck's going on? It's this new job. I get to travel, and thankfully I've been coming back to Austin a lot. This is a really cool town, and if you know anything about Austin, it's hip, it's on the cutting edge, it's trendy, and South by Southwest, all these cool things that they do in this city. And so I'm hoping, really hoping, probably against hope, but hoping that I up my cool factor quite a bit by hanging out in Austin this much. I'm hoping some of the inherent cool about the city just kind of rubs off on me. Maybe I start wearing nicer clothes or something like that. Who knows? Comic book t-shirts are not going anywhere, but in between the comic book t-shirts. So hanging out down here, it's balls out hot again. If you're somewhere where it's starting to cool off, I feel sorry for you because the heat, I'm digging it. I actually really like it. But I will say, between moving recently, starting this new job, getting acclimated into that, I have fallen off my running training. I do have the half marathon coming up in January, so I still have time. It's, what do we got here? October, November, December, and then it's on the 11th of January. So basically have 3 months left to train. And I got out for a run last weekend. I'll get out for another one this weekend. But I really got to up my training game here because half marathon is no joke. I've been talking to some people, and even some people that have ran the Disney one where they do have character stops and that. So you have a little chance to catch your breath. But they still said at the end of the day, you are still running a half marathon. Yeah, you may get an extra break here and there because it's the way Disney has their set up if you want to take those extra breaks. But I still have to prepare myself for running a half marathon. So I have not been doing that. So I guess the best thing I can do is commit to training now. I know I said that earlier. It's kind of like when you keep putting off starting a diet. That's kind of what I've been doing with this. So now that I feel like I'm getting a little bit more into a routine with the new job, and then the house is pretty much all set up now and all that, new training regimen starts now. So at least one run a week, but I got to get more than that in there. Again, January 11th is that half marathon at Walt Disney World. So really, I'm stoked about it, but I'm also very, very scared. If you've run anything like that distance and you've got any tips or anything like that, social media, the Scotty Myers Show on Facebook and Instagram, at Scotty Myers on Twitter, hit me up there. Give me your little training tips, tidbits, anything you've got if you've run a half marathon. I can use all the help. Honestly, because I'm solo on this. I don't have anybody training with me or anything. So you guys can be my training partners and help me along this crazy journey. So I love science. And I think when science finds new cool shit, it's awesome. And recently they found, scientists have, I shouldn't say they found, but they've theorized that Venus, the planet Venus, could have been inhabitable and maybe even had life on it. Apparently with whatever data they have, they kind of feel like maybe 7 billion years ago, Venus may have had water. And of course, we all know water is the building block to life. But then the planet underwent catastrophic changes and is now uninhabitable. And I always sit there sometimes, and when they determine a planet is uninhabitable, I kind of go, are we sure? We know the building blocks of life on Earth, but how do we know that over the changes? Let's just say Venus had life on it. And then over the changes that has made Venus what it is today, something hasn't evolved and adapted and is now living there. Like, we don't really know. There could very well be something living on Venus, especially if it used to be inhabitable by our scientific standards. So I find that really cool. It's kind of the same when you start thinking about different things that may or may not have happened on Mars, where they say, oh, we found some traces of water. So maybe there at one point there was life on Mars. So now we're saying that maybe there could have been life on Mars. Maybe there could have been life on Venus. Are we getting to the point where that stupid book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, is not a relationship book, but scientific fact? Have you ever seen the guy that wrote that book? I don't want to take his word for anything, but the fact that science is now saying both of those planets maybe, could have, there's a chance there was life on them at one point. That book just jumped from nonfiction or from fiction to nonfiction in a hurry. Crazy, the world we live in. Switching gears now to the off story of the week. And the off story is a story that when you see the headline, you simply scream, oh, for fuck's sakes. And this one definitely made me scream, oh, for fuck's sakes. Here's the thing. If you're vegan, don't take this the wrong way, but I don't care. You don't need to tell me about it. And you don't need to stop trying to tell me how great of a way it is to live. I happen to like meat. I had a big chunk of steak tonight. Can't help it. I enjoy it. But there is now a vegan influencer, because that's what we have now on social media, and they are promoting something called lettuce noodles. And if you're wondering what they are, they're lettuce cut really thin, tried to shape like noodles. The guy's name, I can't pronounce it. Yulenka Cash. And she says that she created lettuce noodles so that she can have pasta, because a lot of pasta has egg and whatnot when they make the pasta. So it's not really super vegan friendly. So she's come up with this, and she posts some pictures of the creations that she's made, like vegan spaghetti and all these types of things. And you know what? When I look at the bowl, it doesn't look terrible. And that's coming from somebody that's not a vegan. But do you know why it doesn't look terrible? Because it's a fucking salad. That's why, like, vegan noodles, you take lettuce, slice it up real thin. You know what that is? Shredded fucking lettuce. And when you put that in a bowl, and then you put some tomato sauce in there, which is the same as having tomatoes in there, and you throw some onions on there, and maybe some peppers, and you're saying it's vegan spaghetti. No, it's a fucking salad. Instead of having salad dressing, you're having tomato sauce. That's the only goddamn difference. So stop. This is where I think vegans will make massive headway with people, is when they stop trying to co-opt quote unquote regular non-vegan food into vegan food, and then also try and tell us that it tastes the same. Because, we've all seen people make this point, but it's a valid one. If vegan food tastes so good and you want, most vegans that I know are like, you should be vegan too, and you want to convert us to your vegan lifestyle, don't tell me that the way to do it is with salad spaghetti and burgers that you tell me taste just like burgers. Because you know what I know tastes just like burgers? Burgers. So just have your vegan food and tell me that's good. Show me something new and tell me it's good. Don't try to, paint a car and tell me it's a donkey. I don't even know where that saying came from. But seriously, vegan salad, offs. On to the geek news of the week. And there's quite a bit of it this week, actually, and some surprising news in the geek news. First off, we'll start with Jurassic World 3. We knew this one was coming. Now we know some of the cast. And if you're a fan of the original Jurassic Park trilogy, this is wicked news. Jeff Goldblum, Laura Dern, Sam Neill, all part of that amazing first trilogy, are all returning for Jurassic World 3. This will do a nice job of bridging both series, making them seem like one cohesive story, which they kind of did a bit with the first Jurassic World, but it kind of just alluded to what had happened before and was trying to set up its own universe. Now it seems like somebody at the studio has decided, let's just really tie these things together so that we have a 6-film franchise as opposed to kind of 2 separate franchises under the same banner. So really cool to see them all joining Jurassic World 3. And I also think this might be a little bit of a reaction to the fact that although Jurassic World 2 did very, very well, according to some, the studio was a little let down with its box office. Despite the fact that it made a shit ton of money, the studio was hoping for more. So this way they get to bring people that might have been on the fence about Jurassic World into it if they're fans of the original trilogy. So super smart move on their part. Now, switching over to some Star Wars-y / Marvel news, Kevin Feige, the man that has overseen the Marvel Cinematic Universe and built that juggernaut, is now switching gears and is going to produce and develop a Star Wars movie. That's all we know. The news kind of came out of nowhere. It was hinted at months ago, and Feige himself shot it down, said the only thing he planned to do with Star Wars was play with toys in his backyard, which I can only imagine is a massive backyard. But anyway, he has now joined the ranks of the Star Wars universe and is about to make a Star Wars film. People are speculating what it could be. We really have no idea. Anything I throw out there would be just pure speculation as well. Now, if we go by what we know, or what we think we know, Rian Johnson's making his own trilogy off in his own little corner of the universe. The Game of Thrones guys, it's heavily rumored that they're doing Knights of the Old Republic. Now we get Obi-Wan happening on Disney Plus. It kind of leaves the door wide open for whatever Feige may want to do in his little corner of the Star Wars universe. And I can't think that he's only going to make one movie. I have a feeling if you bring Kevin Feige into the Star Wars world, it's for something bigger than just one single standalone film. So in my mind, that eliminates him doing anything like a Boba Fett movie or a Yoda movie or anything like that, unless he has it planned out as at least a trilogy, right? That's my guess. Feige's going to do at least a trilogy. So I have no idea what he's going to do. There's a follow-up rumor that said he could be looking at Brie Larson to be his star. A rumor is that he has told one of the major stars of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that he has a specific role for them in his Star Wars film. And it seems like Brie Larson is the rumored name. But when you talk about major stars in the MCU, there are so many names out there, and some that I would just flat out love to see join the Star Wars universe. Brie Larson would be great, but could you imagine Robert Downey Jr. in Star Wars? I think that would be amazing. Or Chris Hemsworth. Dude looks like a Jedi. Like Thor and a Jedi have a lot of similarities. So Chris Hemsworth would be a great choice to join the Star Wars universe. And he's looking for a new franchise. He's still got Thor kind of going on, but he's looking for a new franchise because Men in Black International did not do what they wanted it to do. So he could be a front runner. Chris Evans could be a front runner. There's lots of names to pick from the Marvel Cinematic Universe that Kevin Feige could be looking to bring over. I want it to be Robert Downey Jr. If somebody at Disney is listening, please make that happen. Even if he's just in it for one movie. I just want to see Robert Downey Jr. in Star Wars in some capacity. Now, sticking with Marvel and Disney and some disappointing news. Remember a while back, we got all excited because they announced a bunch of shows that were going to happen on Hulu, and they were all kind of dark, and it was very, very cool. And one of them was Ghost Rider, one of the best characters in Marvel, in my opinion. Well, now that Ghost Rider series is dead. Apparently, the production team behind it and Hulu came to, the way it was described in the article I read, was a creative impasse. They hit a point where there was nowhere else for them to go. And Hulu, instead of trying to push through and keep the project alive, basically just backed out and said, we're not interested in making a Ghost Rider show anymore. And when that happened, the show became dead in the water. Now, Disney, of course, does have their streaming service coming out soon. They want tons of content for it. They already have tons, but they continue to look to add more. There is a slim chance this sees life at Disney Plus, but from every report I read, it's just saying that this show is now dead and has no hope right now of any type of revival. Of course, fans online pissed off, trying to get it a second life. But right now, that seems like a bleak, fruitless proposition. Switching over to DC Comics in the comic book world, kind of an odd announcement, but DC Comics has teamed up with AEW Wrestling, who are about to launch their weekly TV show, for a comic series. So some of the stars of AEW, like Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega and those guys, they're going to be in a comic book put out by DC Comics. A little bit of an odd partnership. You'd think they'd want to see AEW have some ratings and stuff first. I know their ticket sales and that were doing fantastic, but the show hasn't even debuted yet. So interesting to see DC jump in bed with them so quickly, but kind of cool as well, right? AEW doing a lot of cool things. And sticking with DC, we're getting some casting rumors coming out now for the Batman movie. Of course, we know Robert Pattinson is the new Batman, and we know he's going to take on at least a couple of villains in this film. And who are the villains going to be? Well, one name that has come up for casting is Jonah Hill. Now, Jonah Hill, great actor, and people, of course, speculating online which role he would take in the Batman film. Two characters have been really bandied about online. The Riddler and the Penguin. I think he would fit either, but honestly, in my mind, does he not just fit the Penguin almost perfectly? Like, really? Because when you see him standing next to like a Channing Tatum or anything like that, he definitely seems shorter. I always picture the Riddler as kind of taller and lankier. Like Jim Carrey physically was how I picture the Riddler and how he is drawn most times. And he kind of also fell into that Frank Gorshin model of the Riddler from the Batman 66 TV show. But when you think of the Penguin, you do think of someone a little shorter, someone a little stockier. Now, I know Jonah Hill has done a great job, dropped a ton of weight, so maybe that's why he may not want to jump on board with the Penguin, but that's who I would like to see him take on. The other characters in the Batman universe I think Jonah Hill would fit really well are not rumored to be main players or in the movie at all. Like, he'd be a great ventriloquist, but nobody's putting the ventriloquist in a big budget movie, at least not now. You know, we get 3 or 4 Batman movies deep with this new series. Maybe then we'll see the ventriloquist or like the Mad Hatter or something like that. But out of the main rogues gallery for the Dark Knight, hands down the best fit, I would say, for Jonah Hill would be the Penguin. So hopefully that's the role that he ends up with, if he ends up with any. Again, these are all rumors. If there's a casting rumor out there that you'd like to see, throw one out. You know, make one up online. Throw one out there and throw it up. Scotty Mars on Facebook and Instagram, at Scotty Mars on Twitter. And one other thing I want to talk about a little bit online. I mentioned something last week, and I got a couple of messages about it. So keep an eye on our socials, because I'm going to start a petition, because we were talking about the old Star Wars holiday special, right? That terrible one from back in 1978. And now that Disney has the Disney Plus streaming service, Jon Favreau had talked about wanting to redo the Star Wars holiday special. And I kind of threw it out there saying, you know what? Disney should just put that on Disney Plus, right? It's not going to cost them anything. Just throw it on your streaming service. And a few people got back to me and said that was a fantastic idea. So I'm thinking, why not start an online petition for Disney to put the Star Wars holiday special on the Disney Plus streaming service? So I will have that up on our social medias very, very soon. Sign it if you want to see that holiday special on the streaming service, which launches in November. That will do it for this week. Lord knows where I'll be recording next week. You never know. Again, I'll drop all our socials again. The Scotty Mars Show on Facebook and Instagram, at Scotty Mars on Twitter. You can catch this show, of course, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. But you can also catch us streaming on blasttheradio.com Thursday mornings at 8:30 Eastern. And a big thanks to Milky, the man behind Blast the Radio, who helps me put this together when I'm on the road. I could not do it without his help. So a big thanks to him. And until we chat again, have a great week.